Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Interval, a musical theatre podcast with me, Jess,
And me, Tyler.
where we'll be discussing all things musical and all things theatre. Enjoy! Welcome back to The Interval, where we will be talking about Wicked, without any spoilers,
I mean, we've been talking about Wicked probably for about 3 or 4 months now.
since we kind of really realised that we both actually like musicals.
Jess, how many times have you seen Wicked? And when did you first see it?
Don't ask me when. I don't know. I can't remember when. I've seen Wicked in the theatre twice, which is definitely not as many as Tyler's seen it. The first time I saw it, it was actually the first West End production I ever saw. And I remember it's a non-spoiler episode. The song before the interval, you can probably guess which one it is. I sobbed like a baby. I think I was a bit of a baby at that point. I want to say it was about 2009, so I was 9, and it blew my tiny brain. And that was the show that I basically went, this is my favourite thing on the planet.
Yeah, would you say is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang we established after I found out you'd lied to me earlier? So that was the first musical you saw. Would
Yeah.
you say Wicked was sort of the gateway
Oh yeah,
into
Wicked was 100% the gateway. I mean, it's just magical. Like I always say, whenever I'm indoctrinating new people into theatre, I think it's always Wicked. Wicked is like the first musical you should watch because it's like the definition of West End, isn't it? Really, it's the definition of musical theatre, and it's just magical. I went and watched it with some friends out the time after. I'm not friends with them now, but that's not from the context of what I'm about to say. It's just we just grew apart. They didn't get it, so whenever one of the characters was using their spell book, they would they were sitting next to me making fun of it, and I think that's the first time I felt pure rage. I was so annoyed at them, but I loved it, and I cried at all the same parts again. What about you, Tyler? What's your You have a long history with Wicked. You have a proper interesting history with Wicked.
Well, that scares me because now people might be anticipating what I'm about to say now.
Tyler played Fiero in the first Wicked. He didn't. He didn't. Did you? No, he didn't.
No, we've established I do not have Fiero energy, unfortunately. So my history with Wicked. So I think the first time I saw Wicked, I was probably 18. I can't remember anything about the first time I saw it, but I can tell you that I loved it enough to see it 15 more times. I've seen Wicked about 16 times now.
16 times. How does that even work?
I had a student loan, and a lot of it was spent on going to see Wicked.
So you must have seen it like multiple times a year.
I think those 16 times was probably in the span of about 2.5 years.
That's impressive. That's fully impressive. And I'm really jealous.
I just loved it. I mean, I'd had quite a big history with musical theatre before that. I think Wicked is a show that just has everything. It just completely enamored me, from the first time I saw it, and I wanted to keep seeing it, and it evidently did.
So my two times I've seen it is nothing. Well, I don't have a student loan, Tyler. We've established we're both in the same job. I don't have that.
Well, I don't have one now.
No, you're paying that back. You literally took Wicked out on a loan. At that point, you made the government pay for your Wicked tickets, and now you're slowly paying it back. And I respect that.
Oh, the only other thing I was going to say was I do have a Wicked tattoo. I have about 20 odd tattoos now. My Wicked tattoo was the second tattoo I ever got when I was 19.
What is it? You gotta describe it now.
It is. It says, I have been changed for good. And then it has a section, that section from the
Ooh.
vocal score.
Oh, that's cool. You'll have to put it up on our Instagram so that people can see what that looks like. So, Tyler, now that we've established that we've both seen Wicked quite a few times, without spoilers, what actually is Wicked about?
Yeah, so essentially Wicked it's the untold story of the Witches of Oz. So you get to discover the origins of the evil Wicked Witch of the West and why she became wicked, and you also get more of a backstory about Glinda, who is the Good Witch of the North, who sends Dorothy down the yellow brick road in The Wizard of Oz.
It's all about the Wicked Witch of the West and the Good Witch. Glinda the Good Witch are kind of the two main characters, really. The whole like deep-seated story behind it is discrimination and acceptance and love and how things can be misconstrued. So Wicked landed on Broadway in 2003, and then 3 years later, in 2006, it hit the West End.
Yeah, it's been at the Apollo Victoria Theatre in the West End for 18 years now. Same situation on Broadway. It's been at the Gershwin Theatre since 2003. It's had various tours and productions around the world since then. And this year we finally got the much anticipated film adaptation, which I think for a long time people didn't really believe was going to come out.
But it was the same year the Les Mis film came out that they announced Wicked, the film, was going to be going ahead, aiming for 2016. And unless you have a time machine, that was a long time ago. Mark Platt announced the film was going ahead, and then in 2016, they pushed it back to 2019 with Stephen Daldry, the guy who directed Billy Elliot.
The original director wasn't attached to the project for the entire time. In February 2021, it was announced that John M. Chu, who had previously directed In the Heights and Crazy Rich Asians, was coming on board after Stephen Daldry had left the project. And in November of 2021, it was announced that Tony Award winner Cynthia Erivo and Grammy Award winner Ariana Grande would be starring in Wicked as Elphaba and Glinda. What was your initial reaction to this casting?
It is no secret that Ariana Grande wanted to be Glinda, and the fact that she did, it's just like, to me it screams that, you know, that one, every musical theatre kid has it, that one part that you like always wanted when you were younger. I always ironically, as our first episode, I always wanted to play Dodger in Oliver. Oh my god, like we did it in our school play, and my crippling stage fright was gone at that point. I was dreaming of that, and it feels like Ariana Grande got that, and it just feels like such a success story. It's a passion project for both Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, and you can tell both through the memes of the interviews and just the pure dedication that they have in the film. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, you can tell, you can see it in there.
I think that's what elevates the film beyond everything else. That's fantastic
100%.
about it is you know, you can feel how much they gave themselves to these roles.
Speaking of giving themselves to the roles as well, a year after Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were announced, it was announced that Jonathan Bailey was playing Fiyero. I was hesitant with Jonathan Bailey being Fiyero because he'd been on the stage before, but I was like, I just don't know if he kind of gives that Fiyero vibe. And when I heard his first song, it's like an octave below, isn't it, what the traditional Dancing Through Life is?
Yeah.
And I was so hesitant. I will say, I have completely changed my mind, and I wish I could go and slap my old self in the face because, wow, he's fantastic as Fiyero.
That casting was big. Next to Elphaba and Glinda, that was...
Oh, yeah. What was also big as well, though, playing the wizard, as in the Wizard of Oz wizard, Jeff Goldblum. I couldn't picture anyone else playing the Wizard of Oz.
There is a particular shot in the film, which I can't go into now, that really, really sold me.
I think I know the one you mean.
I will delve into that in the next episode.
The other one, playing Boq, the Munchkin, none other than SpongeBob himself, Ethan Slater.
He's a good Boq. He does what Boq needs to do.
He does what Boq needs to do. In our spoiler episode next week, you will see just what Boq needs to do. The entirety of the main cast, so Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Jeff Goldblum, Ethan Slater, had all been on Broadway before. All of them. 2 years before the film had even come out, this was so clearly a film for musical theatre people.
I just think they couldn't have done it any better. The casting was phenomenal. I've seen a lot of Elphabas and Galindas on stage, and it's really difficult for me to not picture Cynthia and Ariana just as those characters now.
They just embodied it so well. Ariana Grande's Glinda is so funny, and she is so perfect for that role.
The thing with Cynthia that kind of blows my mind is you get all these great vocal moments throughout the film. You know, you're sitting there thinking, wow, like she has a voice. And then you get to that final section in Defying Gravity, and then you realize, so she's spent nearly 3 hours singing like a powerhouse, and that wasn't even touching what her range can do.
She's singing these songs, and she literally looks like she could do it in her sleep. Cynthia Erivo makes my tone deaf ass feel like I can sing Defying Gravity and hit the right notes. I mean, it felt like a film for musical theatre fans, rather than people trying to sell Wicked to a wider audience. It's so musical theatre coded, this film. And the casting, they literally hired musical theatre lovers, and I think that's magical. And it's pretty much the whole reason why they deserve every award they're ever going to get. There's a lot of makeup and costume and set awards, like Satellite Awards. They won Best Makeup, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound. We'll talk about it more in our spoiler episode. But the sets and the costumes and the makeup, oh my god. You can't walk into Oz and think, this is alright. You have to be wowed, and you so were. It deserves everything. I think we're going to see it sweep the floor with the majority of the Oscars and the big ones.
I'm waiting with quite bated breath to see the Oscar nominations.
We're holding space.
We're holding space for Wicked.
On the topic of holding space, our little shout out part of the podcast. We are both holding space for Wicked. What a surprise. If you have not seen that film, or you haven't seen the show and you can, you absolutely should. It's fantastic. Both of them are brilliant. Obviously, the film's a little bit cheaper to watch, but they are perfect examples of what musical theatre films should be, or perfect examples of what just musical theatre should be in general. We know Tyler loves them. He's seen them 18 times. Well, 20 times now if we're counting the movie.
Yeah, that is true.
Congratulations.
We're in the 20s. Wicked is ultimately, I think it's a show or a film for anybody. Everyone can take something from it, and I think that's a really beautiful thing, and that is why we're holding space for Wicked.
And we will be talking about our bonus content in the next episode. So tune in next week for us talking about all the spoilers, all the Easter eggs, all of our strong opinions, or not so strong opinions.
We're going to be diving into full spoilers, and if you have opinions and thoughts, or maybe questions for us on what we think about certain parts, you can reach out to us at theintervalpod@gmail.com. We want to hear, we want to hear. We don't just want to have our own opinions.
He doesn't just want to talk to me, is basically what he's saying.
Feel free to reach out and give us your Wicked opinions.
And we want to see your Wicked tattoos as well. I need inspiration.
We'll see you in a week where we dive into full spoilers.
See you next week.